The code we've talked about so far has revolved around programs that most people wouldn't recognise as programs in the real world. All of the data has been typed into the program itself, which means that the logic in our programs, the if statements, the switch statements, etc., have all been mostly theoretical. Let's change that. Let's ask the person using the program what they want to do with a prompt like this one. Here's the code to make that pop-up box appear. As you can see, asking for the person using the program, your user, to make a decision or input something is actually very easy, and it doesn't take much extra code. So let's walk through what we need to do to display a pop-up box. First up, you may have noticed the line which starts with the word import. By default, when you make a new Java program, you only have access to the very basic functionality. And if you want to add more functionality, you need to specifically enable it. All of the additional functionality is stored in what are called libraries, which is basically a class, which, as we mentioned previously, is a group of methods, and the sole purpose of that library is to add functionality. You will become more and more familiar with these libraries as you use Java more. So what we're doing on this import line is telling Java to turn on the ability to display pop-up boxes. Next, on line 9, we have the code we are using to ask the user to do something. As you can see on the import line, the name of the library is showInputPane, and so to display the dialog box, we are using a method within our class called showInputDialog. When you're using that method, you also need to tell it the text that you want to show to the user, which in this case is just leave a message. Now that we know how to get information from our users, perhaps we should also show messages to our users as well, instead of using the print line every time. To do this, we just need to add a line like line 10 here, showInputPane, showMessageDialog. showMessageDialog takes two parameters when you use it. The second one is the message that we want to display. The first parameter is a little more complicated to explain, however. The first option is a window that the message box must appear inside, like how you can have multiple Word documents open inside Microsoft Word, for example. It's rare that you want to use this functionality, and when you aren't using it, you just type null. If you just want to output a message without asking your user for input, you would need to add the import line still. But because both the showInputDialog and the showMessageDialog methods are within the same library, you only need to import the library once. So if you were to run this program now and type my message when the program asks you to, and when you click OK, you will see a message box like this one with your message. These are not the only two ways to display a dialog box either. Java has a lot of options built in. If you're using Eclipse, if you type showInputPane followed by the word show, Eclipse will show you a drop-down list of all of the possibilities. If a drop-down doesn't appear, try pressing Ctrl and space at the same time. This is Eclipse's default key combination to show autocomplete drop-down. There is also a brief guide about how to use each type of dialog box. You can see here that the show confirm dialog box brings up a dialog with the options yes or no or cancel. Eclipse is smart enough to add the import line if you don't do it manually. If you type the dialog line without the import line, Eclipse will add the import line in itself as you are typing. Some of the things we will be doing later won't allow this functionality to work. If Eclipse knows about multiple things with the same name, for example, it won't add the import in automatically, but you can save some time if you want to take advantage of this functionality. Just on a closing note, I would encourage you to have a look through the options available to you and make a decision about which type of dialog box to use based on what you actually want the user to do. And that means thinking about things like whether the user answering yes or no is more relevant to a question than OK or cancel. You can create codes for each method, but which result will make more sense to the end user.